it completely down, because standing in the back, see the judges in the chair, so it doesn't your ability to see what's going on. I think that would work with us. Because everybody's going to be like this, and we're talking up here. It wouldn't work.
I think we don't do anything. So.
Yeah, we just like we just talk, discuss like what problems and stuff that's going on. Yeah, just could be worse.
Three people. I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do. All right, let's go. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with the minutes from the January 23rd meeting.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from January 23rd meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Next up are the monthly revenue reports for building and zoning. It's $23,000, $805. Public Works and Planning, $3,480. Justice Sullivan Biseglia, $2,463. Justice O'Hare, $17,213. Recreation, $2,974, and the town clerk, $1,198.15. Do I have a motion to accept the revenue reports?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Next on the agenda is a intermunicipal collaboration agreement. This is an agreement between us and 7 other villages and towns and the city of Beacon. It has to do with setting up a vehicle for cooperation with respect to water and wastewater. It is kind of a first step, basically putting us in a situation where we're in a cooperative relationship with an informal legal agreement. Should 2 or more of the towns decide that they want to move forward with something that would actually cost money and require real commitments, each of those would be a separate intermunicipal agreement just for the entities involved, and that would require a completely separate process whereby we would have votes and we'd ask how much it's going to cost and where the money's going to come from and all that kind of stuff. This really sets us up to be able to work cooperatively, attend meetings, and just discuss potential areas of cooperation. So far, I attended one of their meetings. This group has actually been in existence for a while. They asked me to come and sit in to understand what they're doing. Right now, they're talking about a couple of things, one of which is going forward to try to get a grant which would allow them to hire a firm which would evaluate water sources within the different towns, which would include municipal sources, but would also include things like aquifers, that kind of thing. And it would analyze it in terms of capacity, potential for problems, analyzing it for protection, and that sort of thing. The only other thing that they've discussed is the potential of cooperation between towns with respect to future sewer projects as well. If a sewer project that's located near to a boundary, it might make more sense for somebody to run the sewer from one municipality into the other one rather than to build their own facility or run it to one farther away. Those are the 2 things that they've moved as or discussed as possibilities at this point. I think it would be a good idea for us to join it. As I said, anything that actually would require an ongoing expense or cooperation on that level would be a separate thing.
Yeah,
Any
okay.
questions or
Yeah,
discussion?
no, the only, well, I think you answered them, but I read this, and the key words like investment and funding, available funding.
Right,
So you're saying we're not getting into that at this step? So
Correct.
We're sort of,
that's correct.
What now?
When they talk about funding, they're typically talking about a group being in a better position to acquire grants than individual municipalities. Frequently, these agencies that have grants available for development smile on groups of municipalities rather than single ones.
yeah,
So I think the idea was that they were doing that. And as I said, they are looking to go forward to get a grant which would provide for that analysis that I was talking about. But that would be grant money, not our money.
well, reading this, I got, and maybe wrongfully so, got the impression that it's sort of fastened the same way that the dump, the old landfill is being handled by
Right.
different municipalities.
Oh, at the airport.
And well, it's an intermunicipal agreement, so that's true,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, the other thing is, Wanda and I attended a meeting last year sometime that had to do with potentially connecting the water supplies of Lagrange and Poughkeepsie for emergency purposes. Essentially connecting the two systems so that if we have some sort of significant failure that would require us to have water on an emergency basis while we dealt with a repair or something like that, we would be able to get water from them, and the same in reverse. This would be the framework that will, provide us the vehicle to do that. But again, if the two of our towns decided we were going to do that and we were going to put a formal agreement in place, that would be a separate agreement. Okay? Do I have a motion to authorize me to sign this?
Make it.
Do I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Next up, we have twin requests here. I want to process them both at the same time because they're requesting events on the same day in the same park, and we're only going to be able to authorize one of them. The first request comes from the Arlington Lagrange Lacrosse Club for their annual tournament. And the second request is from N.A.M.E to have Stringham Park and use it for their annual walk. The Lagrange request has some history, which I'd like to go into a little bit. You may recall, they're on the same day. They're both asking for May 18th. You may recall last year that we had a discussion about the Lacrosse Club having a tournament there, and they called it the Challenger Cup. And it was designed to be used as a fundraiser for both their club as well as the Challenger program. They had it for 2 years prior to last year, and in neither one of those 2 years have they actually cut a check and given any money to the Challenger program. Last year, when we authorized them to hold the tournament, it was under the condition that, number one, they give the Challenger program checks for the money that they wrote before the tournament, and that they give a check for last year's tournament by the end of July. They did give the checks for the previous tournaments, but it is now February, and they have yet to give a check for last July's tournament, as we specified as a condition. In addition to that, the Challenger program requested that they remove their name from any advertising and so forth, and they're advertising right now, still calling it the Challenger Club. This was discussed at length at the rec committee meeting 2 weeks ago, last week,
Yes, I mean, in several meetings leading up to it, but yes.
and last week, and
And meetings with their board also.
with the lacrosse board. And the recommendation of our rec committee is that we deny the request for the tournament for the lacrosse tournament for this year, which would put us in a position of being able to approve the one from the N.A.M.E organization.
Okay.
Any discussion?
No, it sounds reasonable, if they're not living up to what they're supposed to.
Okay, so do I have a motion to decline the lacrosse club request and to approve the N.A.M.E request for.
Can we do it separate?
Separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to deny the request
I
for
have
the lacrosse
one
club?
from second. Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. And now do I have a motion to approve the request from
So
Danny?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All-
And also that to waive the fee. Yes, for NAMI, right.
Yes,
Not-for-profit.
and we'll amend it to that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Okay. We have a presentation listed here for N.A.M.E, I believe. Are they here? I don't think they are.
I think they want you to sign that, we sent it to them, and then they want you to attend the other one.
This is the annual request for us to declare May Mental Health Awareness Month. Do I have a motion to authorize me to sign that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Thanks.
I'll get you one more.
I'm gonna do that not Friday. I'm not here tomorrow. Next up is a request from the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. Is this an annual
Yes.
agreement thing?
Yep.
We didn't do this at the rear?
I think they changed the prices.
I think we
I think we did authorize
we
that.
designated them, but this is approving what their fees would be, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to authorize me to sign this?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Good. Next is a request from the Arlington Education Foundation, asking us to approve the closing of Dr. Fink Road for 1 hour on April 27th for their 5K run and walk. Is this an annual thing?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Similarly, we have a request from the Mid-Hudson Roadrunners Club
Spring
to
must be coming.
hold it on Sunday, March 3rd. Do I have a motion to authorize this?
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Okay. Next is a request from the building inspector to refund $135 out of $185 collected for a building permit and certification. I presume that's because he's canceled the request.
Yeah.
Have a motion?
Second.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Next up, you'll see a resume for Lee Mcenroe. Lee Mcenroe is being recommended by our town assessor to be hired as a part-time real property data lister at a salary rate of $20 an hour. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. We're being asked to declare filing cabinets and miscellaneous cabinets as surplus. Are these the ones that have been emptied out because of the
Yes.
vegetation?
Yes. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
I
opposed?
do have a comment.
Okay.
The CAC is very concerned, they saw this, and they're concerned that their cabinet is going to disappear, it's downstairs.
We're only gonna get rid of the ones that are empty.
Right.
Okay.
Honest.
So those are
They're
full.
they're already gone, they're in another building.
Okay.
That's why.
All right.
Get rid
We
of the
left
boxes.
those alone, I don't want to upset.
There was a little panic there Monday night.
No,
Theirs is still there.
no, we're just getting rid of the ones that we've emptied out, don't
Okay.
need anymore.
Yeah, fine, no,
We're
no,
not
I know that,
surplusing, we're not surplusing every cabinet in the building.
that's what I said to them.
Some of
but
those
I
still have
just
stuff inside,
Wanted to
so.
make sure that.
We'll be keeping those. We already did that already?
Yes, you just did.
Next up, do I have a motion to reappoint Paul Deseglia as ZBA chairman? Because he didn't take his oath to take it.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Next up is a request from the Inn at the Falls for a 30-day waiver for their liquor license renewal.
Actually, it's a new license, that's a typo. It's
Oh.
just a regular license. But
The Inn of the Falls has been operating for this many years without a liquor license?
Yeah, they don't have,
Yeah, I think they had a bar.
they don't have a bar or a restaurant.
Yes, I do.
I checked,
Really?
I checked downstairs,
I don't think I
and
knew
there's no code violations, and they had no objection for you to.
So I guess they're going to put in a restaurant and or a bar, right?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Moving along, committee reports. Do we have anything from the CAC?
CAC is pretty much nailed down their repair day for May 4th, from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. That's been a success over the years. And climate smart communities, of which we are a member. Mung said he's going to put together some information, and he's researching our records now, to see if we qualify for some kind of award from them as a municipality being the
Okay.
climate smart community.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
That's all I got.
Anything else? Anything from highway? Anything from business and, well, no, because he's not here. Anything from rec?
I'll let the rec director, if she has anything outstanding.
Gosh, really, that's outstanding. Oh, I don't.
She needs that.
I'll just say like 3 minutes. Recreation guides are out. They've been very well received. You should all have gotten in your mailbox by now. So I just want to give a big thanks to my team. It certainly is a big undertaking to have that all planned out and out at the time of year that it is. And it's been recognized by a number of you, so thank you very much for that. We are still midway through the process of installation of the docks. Had to be put on hold and when the winter set in. So we're waiting for that to be completed. However, the town of Patterson did get wind of the fact that we had put those in, and their supervisor had reached out to me, and their town board was supposed to have made a site visit to look at that over this past weekend, Saturday morning. So anxious to see what they decide to do in their municipality, but we're getting noticed for a number of things, so it's kind of cool. I am in the process of preparing for the start of spring. We have pushed up our summer season registration by a month. So if you do follow us on social media, you'll be seeing it on the website. We're trying to get that word out as much as possible. We'll be doing a mailing for the first time, a postcard mailing to our camp families who have attended in the last 2 summers. So that's
What
what's
month
ready
is
to go.
it now, April? You're starting it?
Yes. And with that, we pushed everything up a month early. So Lake Passes actually go on sale next month, first week of March. So all of that information we've been trying to share in a number of ways, but we're really anxious to make sure that the word gets out about the summer program registration especially, because that is their opportunity to get a discount, and we don't want people to miss that opportunity and then in turn be upset with us. So trying the best we can to let everyone know. And we're full swing with Community Day. We are still looking for some new committee members. I did have one lovely lady reach out to me after our recreation guide went out, and we'll be reaching out to get her to join us before the end of the month. So our first formal meeting will be before the end of February, but internally we have been actually looking at things and working on that since December. So we're working on next fall already. So that's about it. If you know of anyone who has any expressed interest in sponsorship for Community Day, we are, have broadened our reach significantly. I believe we've got about 300 letters that are postmarked and heading out to local businesses. So if anyone knows anyone, just send them our way. And other than that, if you have any questions, and I know you're going to talk about baseball. Baseball. Or we're not talking baseball.
Should be.
So.
We will talk about baseball
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
at some point.
For
Um,
your program.
Any town board comments? Now might be a good time to talk about baseball.
Oh, okay.
Also, at the rec committee meeting, you may recall that last year we had a discussion about a member of the community that wanted us to consider renaming a baseball field in honor of their son. And the baseball league entertained the request for, I guess, what we felt was a excessive amount of time. And so we agreed that I would send a memo to the president of the league asking them to come up with a response and a plan or what they wanted to do in terms of naming fields and the like during their off season. I received a note back from him last month. Their proposal pretty much boiled down to creating a sign, if you will, or some kind of a monument, and basically selling slots to anybody who wanted to put a name on it for money that would be donated to the league, as opposed to them deciding a criteria for who might be honored and the like. Our rec committee was not satisfied with that response, and jump in if I'm
It was
saying something more.
distasteful.
That was the reaction from the rec
How's that?
committee.
Clarify it.
They agreed that a solution that involved putting up some sort of a sign, naming the field Legends Field, and having a process for honoring specific people based on some sort of criteria was a better approach, and the rec committee, I believe, has volunteered to set that criteria and entertain applications for honoring people with an eye on perhaps putting someone up there once a year or something along those lines. I think what I'm asking here is for the board to approve that approach, understanding that the specifics of that criteria and that process will follow. Is that something that sounds okay?
Just for the record, it
folks?
was Legacy Field? Oh, not Legacy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Legacy Field, that's good.
And just also that it isn't necessarily that someone's name would go up yearly, it would be based on, you know, a referral or, you know, somebody making an inquiry and it getting reviewed by the rec board. So
Right.
it could be yearly, but it might not, it doesn't have to be. So,
So
Also,
whenever it arises.
yeah,
also,
but it's appropriate.
And I'm not gonna, yeah, just sell them.
also, the other thing that they suggested was renaming the current McCluskey Field to be Challenge Field, right? And rename another field to be McCluskey Field. And the board's decision on that was that McCluskey Field had been named for a reason, and there was no reason to be messing with that as well, especially since the challengers hadn't requested any field to be named. Okay, great. Thanks.
Did we reach out to the family yet to let them know?
I needed to wait until.
No, she
All right.
was gonna wait until we
All right.
gave the go-ahead
Yeah.
to do that. And she'll
And
let
then-
the, you're gonna let the league know our decision as well as the family tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And he would be the first person being honored at Legacy Field.
Right. Okay, anything else?